All right, I'm gonna make a quick video on our Kixie Dialer setup that lets you get your answer rate up by 60%. I started using Kixie in my call centers probably three or more years ago. Originally, it was because we were calling national leads for our funding business, and when you don't match the local area code, you get like a 1% answer rate. So we were able to get that up to 10% by matching the local area code with Kixie. Now, Kixie also has some other features that really help. Removes all spam likely numbers using AI, and has a multi-line dialer that's going to let you go up to 10 lines per call, and it's not going to have the beep that predictive dialers have when the client answers. So that helps you get answers, and then when they hear the beep, they don't hang up, or they don't hear the beep, so they don't hang up. It's a direct connection to the rep. If they call the number back, it gets routed to the rep. And not only does it match local area code, it changes the number every time. So that means you can also dial the same lead another time or two a day without them getting mad. So all that's great, right? That got us up to about 10% answer rate on a single line. Then we moved to the multi-line. So now you're dialing 10 lines at a time. This is an article that I did with Kixie. I'm really close with my rep there, and I can get you guys a discount on your first month if you need to sign up with them. But I also do a custom setup, and here's why I started having to do that. They've been working on their voicemail detection system for years, and it literally, the idea is that when you dial 10 lines, if somebody just quickly hangs up, usually that's going to be the line that gets answered, and all the other lines drop. So that's a problem, because then you end up with voicemails. So I built this integration originally to reduce that happening, to reduce voicemail answers on the multi-line. Now the way we do it is by hard code, or by building an integration between GoHighLevel and Kixie. And excuse me if I have to pause a little bit. I'm trying to make sure I don't get anybody's personal information on here, so I don't have to go back and edit. But basically, we created a lead disposition system so that we could keep Kixie and GoHighLevel in sync. The notes on Kixie, when you leave them, they stay only if you don't remove the lead from the dialer. And so I built this system so that when somebody quickly hangs up and ignores and we get a voicemail, that the reps can disposition that call as quick hang up. And then it pulls that lead off the dialer rather than using Kixie's own system to determine when they come off and on. And then it puts them back on when I choose. And so I chose 3 days later. Problem is, now I've removed the notes. And so basically we built when we bring somebody on to do a custom build out, or when you buy our setup and you can follow the instructions, one of the first steps is you write out a list of all the possible outcomes, literally anything, any way a call could end. So, no answer, not interested, went with another company, every single possible one, and it's not that many, it's probably gonna be 10, 20 at most. And then every sales center has a dial strategy, right? So normally it's on the rep to keep track of, I called this person 6 times and they haven't answered, now I'm gonna abandon them. So this integration took a little different shape, because now I need to pull them off the dialer and put them on in 3 days so that the other good leads can come back on a few hours later and actually ring all the way through. So I'm pushing out the ones that are hanging up quickly. First step. Also, Kixie, it'll integrate and sync all of your leads with Highlevel and give you a link where you can click to open the contact in Highlevel. But I don't like my team switching back and forth, and it doesn't always show the right information that I want to show. So what I did is I built what's called a Kixie refresher into my system. And the first step of that is that lead disposition we talked about. So when they mark the lead, whatever it is, no answer, whatever, the system's gonna track that. So it's counting the number of no answers each lead gets between the last answer. So I have mine set up so if they don't answer 7 times and we haven't talked to them in 7 attempts, it kicks them out, abandons the lead. And so we can hard code your strategy, whatever you want your strategy to be, we can code it in there so that your team only has to choose a disposition and keep dialing, and they don't have to do anything. The refresher is what we set up that has all the information from your contact data that you want showing in Kixie. So now we're bringing the notes that you leave in Kixie and syncing them to Highlevel, and then syncing them back into Kixie when we put the lead back on. So what we're doing is basically, losing my train of thought. So we take, for me, I want the company name, I want the lead name, I want the source. Honestly, that's the most important thing for your rep to know what to say when they first open up. So they can be like, hey, I got your information off Facebook, blah, 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 whatever it is. source, and whatever other information is pertinent for your business, and it's different for everyone. So we make sure we know what information your reps need to see at the beginning of the call. We know where we're going to get that from in your CRM. We make sure we get all your outcomes. We set up a disposition system that matches between Kixie and Highlevel, and then we hard code what happens after you disposition a lead. So there's a dial strategy where it's continuous. Another important feature is when you just have the normal Kixie integration, it's just going to sync. It's just going to sync all the leads into one list. Well, guess what? I have different power lists, and I want a different number of lines on each one, and I want them on different priorities. For instance, I want to make sure all my cold data is lowest priority. Facebook leads are next. People that flaked an appointment are even more important, and people that flaked a wrap-up are even more important than that. And of course, even with the new leads, I want the ones that came in this week from Facebook to be prioritized over the ones that came in 2 weeks ago. So we develop, basically that's the order we start with. If you have a different preference, we can set it up. But now GoHighLevel is looking at all the details in workflow of your leads to know which power list to sync them to. And instead of you having to, let's say someone flakes an appointment, you need to get them back on the list, or you don't want them called when an appointment is scheduled, we set up all that in Highlevel, so it's removing leads that are booked and putting them back on as soon as the appointment passes if nothing else is scheduled and they're not closed, which would be a flake. So basically everything is fully automated. This is the workflow. So we take all the triggers here. These are all the different possible call dispositions. Then we've got where it adds them to the Kixie refresher. So when they log in, they can when someone gets an answer on my system, they can see, and I'll show you, they can see this person has answered. They didn't answer one time before. So if they didn't answer twice, it would say no answer X1, no answer X2, and it stacks up. I'm going to have to clear out some of this data here and blur it for you guys in the final video, but that's how it works. So they're going to see everything they need right here, and all they do is they go to the session, they're checking the power list that they have. I don't only prioritize it like I just said, but I also have one for each rep, because if they all are sharing leads, they don't treat the leads with the same respect. When they have a limited amount, they're going to treat them better. And so all these things are super important, and that's pretty much the structure that we go with. My team has, basically automated this process where we can roll it out for you very, very quickly. And I'm going to show you the complexity of the workflows. As you can imagine, they're pretty complicated from what I've described. So we've got all the dispositions here. It adds the note. And then here's where you get to customize what happens. So let's say if they haven't answered 4 times, it's going to have a different outcome. So it's pulling it off the dialer for longer, and it's going to throw them back on 21 days later if they haven't answered. Basically, this is after 8 attempts. So if they either didn't answer or they hung up combined, if it totals up 8, then it's going to put them out for 21 days and then bring them back on. If they just didn't answer but didn't hang up quick, it's only going to take it off for 3 hours. If they have a quick hang up, it's going to take it off for 2 days. And so once this is set up and you have all of our guides, you can go in and change this, or you can get our guides that'll show you how to set it up and do the whole thing yourself. So this is how it works. You can either use Make or Zapier for your handling of putting leads back on the proper power list. And then we just came out with our Make application. We have a Zapier GoHighLevel application that has the whole 2.0 API. We just came out with the Make version. The Make version is going to be cheaper at scale. A lot of times you'll want to refresh the whole dialer every month or every 2 weeks, and so that can be a lot of automations. To give you guys a little bit of background, I came up in call centers. I was #1 in the biggest digital marketing firm in the world at the time, which was Web.com, in my 2nd month. So I'm a beast at cold calling. I paid attention to the data, and that's why I was good at what I did. And now that's what I do for my job, for my business. So I'm excited to share this with you guys. This is just the Kixie setup. So with this, you eliminate dials between clicks down to 1, clicks between dials to just 1. And you're prioritizing leads perfectly. There's no worry on your reps of keeping track of how many times they called each lead. All the information they need is right there. And this is a huge magnitude different than using just the native integration with Highlevel that Kixie has. Now, this is phase 1 of optimizing your call center. when you go from dialing 200 times a day per rep to 2,000 on a 10 line, you're going to get a lot of missed calls back, or a lot of return calls back. And your reps are going to be busy on the phones. So in the next video, I'm going to show you phase 2, which is how we then double down on that increased traffic to give your call center another lift. And you know what? I'm going to go through some of these workflows and show you a little more. So I showed you this one. This is where we add the disposition and then take whatever delay between the next call we want based on what the disposition was. This is how we add the leads to the power dialer. So we're looking to see, who it's assigned to, if it's been in an appointment before or not, if it was with a closer, if they already met with a closer, etc. And so that chooses which power list it goes on. And then, of course, we have the sync between the Kixie disposition and the lead disposition in Highlevel here. So those are the 3 main workflows. And then beyond that, you can set up counters to, like, if they didn't answer 7 times, abandon the lead. So there's other workflows that govern your specific call flow. And that's basically how it works, guys. Enjoy.